safety net.
Hello again. We've been talking a lot about how things might be for you in the future, but now let's talk about right now. What can you start doing at your institution? How can you prepare to hit the ground running right after release? Well, guess what concept we're going to talk about first? That's right. Once again, your attitude is the most important thing to start with.
A lot of these inmates, they act like I feel like this. We're here to learn a lesson, and they act like they don't even care that they're going to go home anyway, so they don't even take this time to do anything good with themselves. To like I do, going to school or anything, they cuss out everybody. They're just disrespectful, and they just don't care at all. So that's the kind of attitude that's going to bring them back here. While they're here, they should do something positive with themselves.
Trying to get them educated is very hard to do because they still want to form their cliques and act just the way they did on the outside. They just don't realize that they're in prison and that we're here to help them. They look at it as more of a hindrance being here, and they look at the teachers and the education that I've seen as their enemy for some reason. And I just never understood that. They're just still wanting to be like they were on the outside before they came in.
Lay out a priority list. I need somewhere to go, I need a job, and I need an attitude change, and then start working on those right there, preferably the attitude change first. Because if you come out with a bitter attitude because you got yourself in trouble, you got in there, and you come out with a bitter attitude, you're going to be right back in there again.
These are powerful words from people who know what they're talking about. So I hope that you're paying attention to what they're saying. Now let's talk about the specifics of training and education. Depending on what type of facility you're in, there will be different kinds of opportunities for academic education and vocational training. Investigate them all. Don't limit yourself to just one area, because you never know what kind of knowledge will be helpful to you. Plus, a well-rounded person with many different areas of knowledge is always the most useful employee.
The help really starts while they're incarcerated, and there are a lot of things that are exposed to them during their incarceration. Making the trip from yesterday I was incarcerated, today I'm on my way out is a tough trip for them. Most of them do not come to that realization until it's almost time to go home.
Now I'm in PC support, learning software applications, accounting, how to install programs, formatting this, different type of programs that they use now in the outside that we would need when we go out there and get a job. Well, it made me feel good because when I was home, I didn't have no interest in anything. And when I first started the class, I really didn't have no interest in it. But as I was in the class, I figured, why sit here and waste time when I can get something under my belt? So like, after I got my GED in prison, I got motivated, and I started trying to change myself. And I seen that it's a better life and this is no life, so I'm like into it now.
I learned about welding. I learned about carpentry, painting. I got a trade in carpentry and painting. I had 2 certificates in that though. Landscaping, I cut hair, I did barbering work, training, like workout training and just various things.
Education comes first. Education really comes because you have to be literate in a lot of things now. Just about everything is starting to be computerized. So, you got to have some sense of computer technology.
Now let's talk about planning to continue your training and education process after release. Let's first consider academic education. Now, as you can imagine, we here at Safety Net are big believers in education, and you definitely want to get your high school diploma or GED at a minimum, because that can open a lot of doors for you. But beyond that, you need to make some careful plans about what kind of education or training will work best for you. The reason a lot of young people want to go to college is because they think that's the only way to make more money. But vocational training also leads to very well-paying jobs. So if you have no real interest in continuing your academic education, you might want to consider some other options.
Well, if you're looking into this industry, it's one of the highest paying industries for non-high school or college graduates. A good auto technician can make $67,000 a year with little or no training other than on-the-job training. And the promotion opportunities are endless because it's not the kind of business where it requires various levels of education to move up and make a lot of money and be successful.
When young people come back to me and they say that they want to go to school or college, we first start talking about where they first started. What was it like in high school? Was high school difficult? Why was it difficult? And go from there. Maybe college isn't for you. Maybe vocational training is for you. Do you like working outdoors? Do you like working indoors? What is it that you think college is going to get for you?
We want to see you get out and get your first job right away because being employed is extremely important. If you have the desire to work and go to school, we think that's great and we strongly encourage it. In fact, in the back of your workbook, you'll find lots of resources to help you with financial assistance. The bottom line is that you need to talk to someone who understands what kind of academic education or vocational training will be best for what you want to do. You may also want to look into apprenticeship programs. These are when you work a job and at the same time get additional training to increase your skills. Let's take a look at a couple of the formerly incarcerated young people in this program and their apprenticeship programs. Juan Rodriguez has just started his 3-year masonry apprenticeship program. He works during the day as a masonry apprentice, then goes to school 1 night a week for 3 hours and 1 Saturday a month for 8 hours. Juan's instructor is Barry Smith, and he explains the program.
Cover the trial trades. That's masonry, which is brick, block, glass block construction, tile setting, and plastering. And you know, the kids will choose their whichever one they do. I am the masonry instructor. They come in, we start with the very basics of manipulating a trowel, and when that craft is mastered enough that they can move on, they go to the next phase, which is the simplest part of installing block, as you can do, which is to a string, and they progress there until they go to the next level, and so on. There's probably about 6 points, 6 levels that we really like for them to reach.
Robert LaPierre is in a 5-year air conditioning apprenticeship program. His instructor is Jim Taylor, and he explains the basics of the program.
You work for one of our contractors 40 hours a week, and you go to school 2 nights a week, 3.5 hours a night. We don't put these classes a Monday and a Tuesday. It'd be a Monday or Wednesday or a Tuesday and a Thursday. Give you a little space in between. Out of those 7 hours, we ask you probably to study an hour and 45 minutes to an hour a night for both the classes. So actually it's a half-hour night per class. And if you can do that, and most of your classmates, they'll be your classmates all 5 years, study groups come up, friendships are always coming in there, there's not a problem with it.
Like many apprenticeship programs, Juan and Robert's were free. If you start looking now, you can find one that works for you and be ready to begin an apprenticeship program when you are released. The next thing to start planning now is the real-life aspects of supporting yourself and taking care of your responsibilities. Even if you're living with your parents, you need to start contributing to the household.
We have to make a living in life. We don't, work, we can't live in life, It's the reason why it's important for me to work because for now, I need to pay up, and help my mother with the bills. I need to be responsible, and this is one of my first steps I took of being responsibility, so.
Young people have to realize that everybody has to pay bills. There's no way around that. I would suggest that when they finally do find a job, try and get someone to help them set up a budget, whether it be their parents, a good friend, someone they trust. In the beginning, it is going to be tough. They're going to spend money where they're not supposed to, not have the money that they like. However, they have to get into that tracking, into that responsibility mode. And once that happens, it usually flows.
Money is a difficult thing for all of us to manage. Most of the time we would much rather buy something we want rather than pay a bill or put it in savings. Managing money takes discipline, and you should start planning now for how you'll handle your finances. Don't wait until you get released.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of guys do that I knew. A lot of my friends do it. Just go out and party all the time, go to clubs, go to do this, do that. And how I look at that, at the time, I probably say, yeah, that's fun, let's do it, because it's something that I want to do. But now, I would probably try to talk to them, look at, man, you need to save money for the most important thing that's in your life right now.
When I get my check, a certain percentage goes to rent weekly. So at the end of the month, that goes to that, and food, and electricity, car payments, such forth. And it was difficult at first, but once I started getting into the rhythm of it, it started working out.
And now, let's talk about an even more challenging aspect of planning for real life, parenting. First of all, we do suggest that you wait until things in your life have some stability before you start a family. But if you already have children, then you have to take that responsibility seriously. And you definitely better start planning now on how you're going to work and take care of your children. It will be hard, but the good news is that there is a lot of help available to you.
Well, when I get out, I know I'm going to find me a job so I can take care of my little girl. I have to get on my feet first. Get money, supply her and me. She already in school, so I won't have to worry about too much of that. Get myself situated. I'm gonna have to take my little girl to school, and then it's gonna be hard for me to get around because I don't have no car, no transportation. And then I might be at work, and I might get off a certain time. She have to be at a certain time. I think it's gonna be hard.
Young people who are having a problem with parenting skills should look for programs that are going to assist them. There are a lot out there, and they are everywhere. They're easy to find. Look in the paper, look in the phone book, talk to your local community. Some of these programs will assist with childcare. They will assist with transportation back and forth to work to help them make that a little bit easier.
The first thing I tell them is they take care of themselves. Not that they ignore their kids, but they have to, even though they have a lot of responsibilities and everything, number one, you can't give what you don't have. So you got to take care of yourself, and you got to take time for yourself just like you do for those kids. You got to know how to get help when you need help. You got to have support. I mean, most people, sometimes they don't have their other family members, so they have to count on friends and stuff. And a lot of women that are out looking for work, they need support, because then there's the child care issue, and then there's the transportation, and then there's all this other stuff that comes up, and they need help.
You know, when I was younger, I didn't even think about that 1 minute. I was free and this and that, but wow, you know, when I pick up my son and I look in the mirror, or I pick up my son after a hard day's work, I'll be like, you know, look at this here, man. I'm a father. I got to pay the bills, you know. I got to work 2 jobs. And I'm like, man, you know, I mean, I see my family do it, and I didn't think it was that important. Now that I see the reflection in the mirror, I'm like, you know, damn, I bow myself, you know, I give myself, you know, a pat on the back, you know.
You know, a lot of what we're talking about in this program is preparing for responsibility. For your family, maybe for your children, and definitely for yourself. And being responsible takes planning. So one of your first classroom exercises is to look at what your concept of responsibility is. How did you get it? Does it need some adjustment? How can it affect your life? See you next time.